this was held up by a screw in the back, which I could either put in now or leave out. What do you think? Just simulate putting it in. And then this was on here like this. And the straw that broke the camel's back was this started slipping. So I could pull it up and down and nothing would happen. I couldn't recline the seat. And of course that happened at a time when I wanted to take a nap. So I had to take a nap with the seat vertical. But this was dangling down like this and just generally sloppy looking. Okay. So my imperative was to fix this. So I took it apart, drilled holes in both sides and put screws in part way so that the inner sleeve no longer slipped. And I could again use it to release the seat back. Okay. So at the same time I decided maybe I could fix the entire thing. As you can see, the tube has broken off and the bottom of the tube is still hanging on the side of the seat. The front screw also broke the flange off. So I've improvised a flange here out of milk crate, milk carton, and a fender washer. The only reason that screw is in there is to keep the fender washer in place. And now the main big part of this fabulous repair that makes it noteworthy in my mind is how to fix the tube. So I came up with this brilliant improvisation. This is a 1/2 inch brass pipe cap that I've drilled a hole in, and it fits right on here. Okay. Turns out that the thickness of the end of the cap was just about 4 millimeters, which is almost exactly the thickness of this plastic bottom. But to complicate things just a little bit, this place where the screw goes in is in a recess, which is actually smaller than the diameter of my cap. So I countersunk the screw hole on the inside. Can you see that? So the screw actually goes in there with some difficulty. And sits down in the countersink, so that gives me a little bit more length that I would have lost by it not sitting down in the dip. Okay, so now to fasten the pipe cap onto the tube, I have roughed up the end of the tube with this gadget. Which is a plumber's pipe brush. Cleaning the end of a copper pipe before you solder it. And it just turns out that I can force that on there. And it'll scratch the plastic. So it makes the surface rough. Okay, so now I have some roughness to the surface. And then I have an epoxy plastic bonder. So it's made for plastics. Now, this isn't plastic, but it has threads. So the epoxy is going to bond with the threads just because of their shape, whether it bonds to the metal or not. This is the place where we really need the bond. Now I'm going to mix up the epoxy, which may or may not be film worthy. As I was telling Dave a while ago, I usually wind up using this for my stir stick and this for my vessel, because by the time I get there I realize I have forgotten to bring anything to mix the glue in. So if you've never used one of these, they have a cap built into the handle to recap it with. But you do have to have a knife to cut the end of the tube off. Put a lanyard on the knife. Find it in my pocket amongst the other goodies. Oh, what else didn't I bring? Any kind of a napkin. But luckily I went to McDonald's this morning. I have a couple of napkins, which mainly I want to clean off.
Just gluing your knife shut is not part of the drill.
Okay, so I figured I would use about 1/3 of the tube just in case I needed more than I thought I needed. And because it never keeps as long as you want it to when you're done. Hard part about these is stopping the flow and making sure that you don't cross-contaminate your two parts. And they made the lid so that it'll only go on one way so that you don't cross-contaminate the two parts. Okay, so that's done and put away. The stick that I made out of the cardboard and have promptly lost. Have you ever mixed epoxy, Dave?
No.
Well, you got to make sure your two parts get mixed as well as possible. And once it touches any of the two parts touch, your timer starts. And epoxies are available in different set times, and this is a 20-minute epoxy, so it will be workable for 20 minutes. But some of them are as short as 3 minutes. You want to make sure you know, because you don't want to stop and have a cigarette or something. It'll suddenly harden on you. Okay. Now, I don't want to get any in the bottom where the screw goes. I don't care if I've got all kinds of excess gobbed up on this. So I'm going to put quite a bit on the outside here. And then possibly a little bit on the inside threads. Now theoretically that's plenty. Smear it around just a little bit and then make sure that it gets into the threads. Since I have 20 minutes, I can actually put it on here and then take it off a couple of times just to make sure I'm getting correct contact. Looks like I'm getting too much into the bottom of my setup here, so let me get the cardboard back out and do a little cleanup. Like I say, I don't want to block the action of the screw when it goes. Okay, now that's on as far as it needs to go. Now while I was prepping this last night, I filed off the top of this tube because it had a little bit of irregularity, and that gave me a little bit of distance on the depth. But my calculations are that that'll be just about exactly the right distance that I want. And we do have a hole through there, so the screw should work. So now we have a 20-minute waiting period. In the meantime, I'll show this part here. Did you already have this on tape? Yeah. Where the front tab has broken off and there's just a portion of the hole available, and I don't even have the piece that used to be there. So the challenge was to fasten this back up in such a way that it won't pull away and it won't slide away, because the washer would hold it, but this would just slide off the washer. So the milk carton keeps it from sliding, and the fender washer actually holds most of the weight. And that screw is only in there as a keeper. The actual screw is still up here where it goes. And we have a 20-minute break while we wait for that to harden. Okay, the back screw. These two are apparently the same. And the front screw. Also the same. Okay, so we have some consistency here. Now I brought another screwdriver. Recognize that? To reach into the hole. There we go. Free as pie. Okay, so we're going to leave that like that. Then I am going to, I guess I won't be able to leave that like that. I'm going to snap this back in place, which snaps in with a very healthy click. Really difficult to get out. And it was even more difficult when I took it apart because it wasn't warm like this, so it was a little harder. Plastic was a little harder. Okay. I think I'm going to leave my keeper screw in here until I get it in place so that my washer doesn't start flopping around. This has to be pried over the edge. Hinge assembly. Okay, we're getting warm. Make sure the cable is someplace out of the way. Take the keeper screw out. Put the real screw in. Like here. Still through the washer. I gotta put the screw in the bottom of the seat. That's satisfactory there. Hopefully our screw is still in the bottom of this hole. And it's not. So that means I'm one screw short. No, that's not it. That's the keeper screw. You may have to edit this piece out.
Put in that do technical difficulty.
Yeah. Technical difficulty. And it is. Oh, the screw is in there. Okay, we're getting warm. Okay, I've got it. Okay, it's all the way to the bottom. Excellent. There's another screw. That's still not the right screw. It wasn't the right screw last time, and it's not the right screw this time. And I think I had to use the stubby on this one. wouldn't you know it? And even the stubby may not be short enough. May have to move the seat to the rear position. There we go. Getting warmer. Sometimes if you don't want to stand on your head, a mirror comes in handy at times like this. Find the hole. Okay, that's it right there. I'm going to have to move the seat to the back so I can have some room.
Let's back to her.
I hope that doesn't mean that the entire world has to see all the junk in the back of my car. There it goes. Okay, all 3 screws are in. Let's see if our fascia looks like it's going to be solid. There it does, it's about like factory. Okay, now my repaired handle. Alright, it does fit. Here is the screw that holds it in. Backwards to get clicks. Just make sure we get the right threads. See, it doesn't even go in. That's about it. And it's good for about another 200,000 butt drags, I'm thinking. Sliding off the seat. Cool. You have to do that for so long. Move on to the next ridiculous repair. The dealer did not get possibly $200 for this, $50 for this from me. That's how they like to price things. Cool. That's this week's project. Don't have anything else.